Hey everybody, welcome back to Up, and Away, a comic book movie review and news podcast. My name is Joe Gilpin, joined as always by my brother,
Matt.
How are you today, Matt?
Good.
Wonderful. This is a podcast where we get together, we talk about comic book movies, comic book TV shows, video games, anything that wades into the water.
Yeah.
And every Friday we get together and we discuss a comic book movie in excruciating amounts of detail.
Joe, that's today.
That is today, and so that's what we're going to do. Originally we were debating what movies we were going to do. We finally landed on a movie that we knew we would have to come to eventually. And this is 2011's Green Lantern.
Yeah.
This movie is starring Ryan Reynolds, and it was widely considered to be a flop critically and a failure commercially.
Yeah, it didn't do as well as they wanted it to do.
And
certainly.
It was. I feel like this is a rarity now. It at least holds this distinction. It's one of the last comic book movies to be pre-universe.
Yeah.
It's you really from here on out, you're only going to be seeing comic book movies that are in some kind of universe.
Well, shit, man. We already had, like, a lot of Marvel MCU movies when this movie got made.
Oh, yeah, 100%. And Fox movies, I mean, the X-Men stuff was going strong, and that's all one shared universe, especially when they started, folding in Deadpool and the Wolverine. But this was DC, so things had been a little different. Man of Steel was coming.
They were in the middle of their Dark Knight trilogy.
Yeah, they were in the middle of the Dark Knight trilogy. Dark Knight Rises was coming.
Yeah, a year later.
And so everything was still on the DC side a little scattered.
A lot of people thought that this might share a universe with the Nolanverse.
And it does not.
It does not. No.
It is nowhere close
That's
to...
a fair assumption.
Yeah, I get it. But
because you're looking at what Marvel's doing. It's like, oh, well, DC's doing that. Here comes Green Lantern. And Superman Returns was 2006.
This is the only Green Lantern movie that we've ever gotten.
The only live-action Green Lantern.
The only live-action Green Lantern we've ever seen. And it has some really interesting people behind that. Do you want to touch on the baseball card statistics for this movie, Matt?
Yeah, I certainly didn't know some of these people were attached to this. This movie was directed by Martin Campbell. I do not know who that is. But this movie had a screenplay written by Greg Berlanti and Mark Guggenheim, along with some other people who we know from the CW TV shows. They are very heavily involved in Arrow, Flash, Legends, Supergirl, and it was surprising to see their names attached to this.
Sure. Martin Campbell, you might know him. He did the Zorro movies. That was a big cash grab for him. And he did a couple of James Bond movies, Casino Royale in 2006 among them.
I need to see some James Bond movies.
Start with Casino Royale. It's really good.
Really?
It is actually really good. He does a very good job in that.
Fair
he also
enough.
did GoldenEye in 1995, which was a much better video game than it was a movie. Guggenheim and Berlanti are to put it in a way, they're the Kevin Feige's of the CW universe. Yeah, they make the decisions. And it's always been bandied about in that universe and hinted towards that they're going to bring in a Green Lantern-style character.
Mm-hmm. We've talked about that in this show a couple of times.
That was without us realizing that they had written this movie, because we don't like to think about this movie, because this movie is not good.
Yeah.
And so I think it is a fair assumption right now, they shouldn't do Green Lantern.
No.
You kind of had your bite at the apple, and you fucked it up.
Yeah.
You didn't do well. You made a movie that pretty much failed on every front.
Nobody really liked it.
Walking in, I thought this movie involved a lot more Jeff Johns production-wise, but
I did too.
I now realize that was a mistake.
He was attached as a producer.
But
yeah.
He was the head of DC Comics, so it's like how Stan Lee gets a writer's credit on all of the Marvel movies.
Mm-hmm. And Jeff Johns, Green Lantern is what he wrote the most.
Yes.
So they might have used some of his stuff.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, the Parallax characters, all that kind of stuff.
Right.
We can get into it. Well, so a lot of those predated him. This movie does suffer from old names.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
The Double H, Hector Hammond.
Yeah. Very common in comic books to have an alliterative name because it's much easier to remember. Reed Richards, Peter Parker, Hector Hammond, sure.
Bruce Wayne.
Yeah, Bruce Wayne. But it is very common.
Ryan Reynolds. But yeah, this movie is, of course, starring Ryan Reynolds. He is very vocal about this movie, since it also stars his now wife, Blake Lively.
This is where they met.
This is where they met.
We'll touch on that.
He said, very recently, he said that he knew that he was in love with her, and he knew that she was the one after they had sex.
Aww.
Yeah, typical.
Isn't that heartwarming?
Yeah. Also, Peter Saarsgard, Mark Strong, Tim Robbins. An interesting name, Taika Waititi.
Taika Waititi, who we know from, he has directed, I guess you could say, Thor 3.
Yeah, they're in post.
They're in post, yeah, and that movie is going to come out soon.
Yeah.
So that's pretty exciting that he has experience in a shitty comic book movie.
Yeah.
Because when people get a second bite at the apple for some reason, they tend to do a lot better.
Right.
For example, Ryan Reynolds. Who we now know as almost synonymous with Deadpool.
Yep. And he's got all the creative control for Deadpool 2, which we talked about last Tuesday. Go check it out. This movie had a budget of $200 million.
I think it made its budget. I think it did make its budget. $300?
No.
How much?
$220.
$220. Oh boy. That's a problem, because when they factor in these movies' budgets, when they tell you the budget, they just tell you how much it took to make the movie.
Not to market.
Not to market the movie in any way, not to do any of the extra stuff.
This movie might have been in the red.
Oh, 100% was in the red. No, there's no question. This movie, I mean, a lot
You're
of
a marketing major. Like, from accredited school.
Yeah.
Accredited school.
University of Maryland, go Terps. A lot of times they will double the movie's production budget in marketing.
Oh, God.
Yeah, so this might have been a $400 million expense at the end of the day, and it just didn't make that money back.
Holy shit.
And originally they were saying that they had locked in to do at least 2 because financially it just made more sense.
And they set up the second one.
Yeah, well, it made more sense for them to spread the costs over 2 movies. To, okay, we'll set up all of these effects, and we'll have all these systems in place, and all these sets. And it's all just going to make sense if we half the cost by using them twice, and they never got to do that because this movie fucking tanked.
Oh, God, that's so unfortunate. What is wrong with Warner Brothers?
They can't get it right. Well, this was around the time they were still focusing on Harry Potter.
Yeah.
And so
Harry Potter was coming to an end soon.
It was coming to an end soon, but a lot of people are like, why did they wait so long to get started on that universe? Warner Brothers in general was focused on Harry Potter. So they just did not have the financial resources to turn anything else into a big universe. As soon as the Harry Potter universe ended,
we saw Man of Steel.
Almost within a year.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a really fast turnaround. And so now that's their focus.
Mm-hmm. So, do you want to try and guess the Rotten Tomatoes score? I can give you a hint about the score. I relatively agree with it.
40.
Lower.
20.
26.
All right, that's about right.
I can see that.
Yeah, I tend to go a little high on Rotten Tomatoes scores. I always think they slightly overrate a movie.
The average rating is a 4.6 out of 10. That's a tad high. Half.
That's it.
Yeah. I mean, there's some shit in this movie. Some of the stuff that's just like canonical Green Lantern is fine, and it's like cool to see.
I'll say, I don't like almost anything in this movie.
Really? Then mine's like a 4.6.
Well, just because it's I also don't think it fucks up a lot. It's just nothing is happening for so long. It's not odious in the way that some other movies that we've watched have been. For example, Superman Returns. I found openly odious at times.
Yeah.
Or the Schumacher Batman.
Yeah.
This didn't have things like that. It just had things where I just didn't give a shit for extended periods of time.
Yeah. So, do you just want to hop right into this, Mother?
Sure, let's do the beat-by-beat, scene-by-scene analysis.
And
in that, we'll talk about the characters, the themes. It's just, I find it the easiest way to break this down.
Yeah. We learn through a voiceover in the opening.
Super long exposition scene.
Yes.
This movie starts with 4 or 5 minutes of them explaining the Green Lantern universe to us.
Yes. Instead of showing it to us.
Yes.
Millions of years before the Earth was formed, a group of beings called the Guardians of the Universe used the essence of willpower to create an intergalactic police force called the Green Lantern Corps.
That's a big idea to give to people.
It's like, that happened.
Yeah. Like, people are already going to be, understandably, a little confused.
Sure.
They created the force of
confused.
They created the force of willpower to do something. It doesn't make sense.
They concentrated the essence of willpower, basically.
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck does that mean? They also split the universe into 3,600 sectors with a single Green Lantern per sector.
Fine.
Yeah. We also know that they're...
I mean, this is all canon. This is all just the Green Lantern story. I just think it's a lot to drop on us first thing in the movie before there's any emotional connection to anything that's happening.
Or character beats. You know, there's nothing.
Or a character. Well, a beat. We haven't met a character.
The first character we actually meet, quote unquote, we don't meet him, we're told about him, is Parallax.
Yes.
He is a fear essence being voiced by Clancy Brown, who was also in Daredevil.
Daredevil season 2.
Yeah, he played that military guy.
Yeah.
And he was imprisoned in the lost sector on the planet Riot. He was imprisoned there by Abin Sur, a notable Green Lantern of the Sector 2184. 2814.
A very courageous Green Lantern imprisoned this big bad evil fear demon.
Yeah. However, in present day,
how long ago are we meant to believe that was? Couple thousand years, couple hundred years, couple dozen years, 2 years?
I don't know.
Yeah, we're never given any
hints. Do you think, because I mean they kind of juxtaposed this with young Hal Jordan. Was it also in 1993?
Possible, I guess. Was that only 1993?
I don't know. They didn't tell me. We see that Parallax escapes from his prison because like some people awoke him, I guess. That's literally, I guess. I don't know how that's what they showed us. Like they weren't even Green Lanterns, were they? Or were they?
No, they were just, it looked like they were just space explorers to me.
Yeah. And they awoke Parallax, and Parallax killed them all and escaped. And so Parallax, seeking revenge, mortally wounds Abin Sur, who escapes and crash lands on Earth, and commands his ring to find a worthy successor on the planet. Meanwhile, we're told about young Hal Jordan. He, like I said, in 1993, he was going to go see his father test some airplanes, right? And things don't go well.
Yes, the dad dies, and he is dying forever. They foreshadow the shit out of it. He hands him his coat and says, "Keep it warm for me."
Like he's fucking Mean Joe Green.
And it's a test flight, but it couldn't be a more dangerous test flight.
It's like 40
There's like 40 people standing directly next to a obviously dangerous experimental airplane.
Yes.
It is...
Including children.
Yes. They're telling the kids, get closer. Hop on in there. Really dig your noses into this.
And so he crashes, but that's not what kills him. He gets out of his plane, Hal Jordan's father does, and then the plane just explodes.
Yes, as Hal like has a moment of like, oh, he's gonna be okay, and he's like running towards him, and even still the plane explodes.
And so that fucks up Hal. So in modern day, Hal is he's a cocky, brash test pilot like Hal Jordan is in the comics, and he is chosen to test out these new military planes, these new like kind of jets, and he's just supposed to like fly around and let them look cool, kind of. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Hal, along with Carol, he uses her as a decoy in this mission and basically sacrifices her.
It's kind of fucked up.
Yeah, not really. It's like in a simulation kind of thing. And he manages to find flaws in these new, like, state-of-the-art spacecrafts. Fighter jets, yeah. And so everybody's really pissed off about that.
Can I say, real quick, I thought he was kind of a dick during this test flight.
Yeah, he was.
He put, not just in the, like, quippy, disrespectful kind of way. It seems like he put people's lives in danger.
Sure.
He pushed these planes to a point where, and it was just a simulation, it was basically like they were playing paintball, effectively.
Sure.
He literally endangered their lives. He pushed the jets to a point where the engine seized up, and they started to plummet back to Earth.
Right.
That is obviously dangerous. Man, he watched his father die in a crash like this.
Yeah.
It seems like he would be more aware than anybody that this is a problem.
Well, and it's funny you bring that up, because as his craft also stalled, and as it was crashing back to Earth, he kind of got some PTSD of his father's accident, and so he seized up.
Little shell shock.
And he ejected out of his plane at the last possible second, and his plane exploded.
So are we meant to believe that he is fearless or fearful? Because he was fearless during that test flight.
But I think he, which we'll come to in this movie, he managed his fear, but it did overtake him at one point. It was hard for him to manage it.
He's at least super irresponsible during this flight.
Yeah. Well, he's irresponsible in his life.
Very true. We see earlier he, shows up late to work and banging some,
Chick.
random girl.
Yeah.
I assume random.
We assume banging, too.
Yeah, fair. The Carol and Hal meeting, the first meeting we see of them, adult them at least in this movie.
Yeah, they knew each other as kids, along with Hector Hammond.
There was some banter.
There was.
There was not some chemistry.
Amongst the married couple.
Amongst the couple that were meeting for the first time and assumedly falling in love.
Yeah.
Throughout this movie.
Mm-hmm.
It's a problem. That's a real problem. That how could you really have... No, and I almost have to put it on the director, really, maybe the actors. How could you have no chemistry between a passionate couple?
Yeah. Who were, off-screen doing it.
Yeah, and just none of that energy makes it onto screen. It's a big problem in this movie.
Yeah, and I think that's on Campbell.
Yeah.
Honestly. Because he was nailed it. That was perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's gotta be the director. So, back at Ferris Aircraft, Carol's father owns the aircraft field. Hal is berated for his actions by Carl Ferris and also Bob Banks. Bob Banks is played by Tim Robbins. And so, it's going real shitty for Hal. He's in a lot of trouble, and Carol's really worried about him because he's saying his plane seized up. She thinks he seized up, and we know that he seized up. And so, we see that Abin Sur has crashed on Earth, meanwhile, and Hal goes to a birthday party for his nephew.
Yes.
And he brings him a present, and he's basically like, oh, it's all good. It's kind of, nothing really happens in this scene, not really necessary.
When he's talking to his nephew, or...
Yeah. Well, just the whole birthday party scene.
Well, he keeps putting over how much of a badass he is, especially to his nephew, and how cool his job is, and how much of a role model he is. That doesn't feel like this character. I feel like this character isn't this proud of himself.
He feels he's flawed.
Yeah, he knows he's flawed. He knows he fucks up all the time.
Yeah.
He's confident in himself, but that doesn't mean he goes around and is cocky about it.
Right. Yeah, it's true.
That's not the character that I'm given when he's also, fucking up in air.
Yeah, during his job. And so it's at this point that we see a little green thing that Abin Sur said, go and find the next Green Lantern, basically. And it went into Hal. And we see it kind of affected Hal, but we didn't really know what was going on. And later we see that he is whisked away to the crash site of Abin Sur.
100 miles away.
Yeah, we're told 100 miles away. And so...
Abin Sur survived a long time after the parallax attack.
Yeah, he did. And so Abin Sur dies. He gives Hal the ring. He's like, "Oh, you're the Green Lantern now." And
dog.
So Hal calls his friend to come pick him up, and this friend is Taika Waititi. And I guess he just drove 100 miles to go pick up Hal. You know, this is what we're meant to believe.
Sure. I need you to come pick me up. Where are you? Delaware.
Coast City. What?
Hal, you did it again.
You were just here.
Yeah. I saw you 3 minutes ago.
That'd be really funny. This movie also didn't have much comedy for as many jokes as they had.
Yes. Nothing in this movie is ever taken too seriously.
Right.
Even the superhero origin, it's all kind of flighty. There's never any dramatic weight. There's never any serious concern.
There's no stakes.
Yeah. I just don't feel like these people are ever worrying about what is going on. There's never any worry, I guess.
Right.
And the pacing at this point already is total shit, but we're going to talk about that more soon.
Yeah. And we see that a military organization arrives to excavate the crash site and take the body. So
Hal, by the way, already acting like a total fucking idiot.
Oh yeah.
He gets it's this big alien thing. He's not going to tell anybody, but he basically seems like he's going to pretend this never happened.
You're like a military liaison.
Yeah. You work with the military. You have to know someone you can call right here.
Yeah.
You have to know someone in the Air Force.
He called Tom.
Yeah. You call fucking Taika Waititi. Yeah, let's just get beers.
Yeah, honestly. And so that's literally what they do. They go do. Hal, he meets Carol for a drink before once they leave. This is the scene that something you actually laughed really hard at.
I laughed really hard at this, but it was not on purpose. In the middle of...
You laughed on purpose, but it was not supposed to be funny.
In the middle of Carol telling Hal, you keep fucking up and something happened in that plane.
She's like, yeah, what happened?
What happened? He looks over and there's a big framed picture of his dad in the bar.
Yeah.
Hey, man. If there's a picture of my dead dad in a bar, I'm not going to that bar. Like, ever.
Yeah, even if that was, like, his bar.
Yeah. Why is there possibly a big framed picture of his... It's too much.
Yeah.
It's just too much.
Well, and you said it before, when we were watching this movie, there's so many shots in this movie of just Hal looking bummed.
Yeah,
like looking out a window.
Yeah, there's a lot of Hal not feeling it.
It's like he's in One Tree Hill, just like looking off. Oh, gosh. So, as Hal leaves the bar, he is attacked by several guys who Hal works with, who are afraid they're going to lose their military contract because Hal exposed flaws in those fighter jets. And so Hal is wearing that ring, and using the ring's power, he knocks all of them out. And then he is automatically flown into the air by the ring, out of the Earth's atmosphere, before going through a wormhole to the planet Oa. Which is like, alright.
Yeah, sure. At this point.
He wakes up with...
Did we talk about the scene where Hector shows up, where Hector gets taken to the plant? Is that coming later?
I think that is coming.
We're going to talk about that soon? Okay.
Yeah.
So we're on Oa.
Yeah, that is coming. We are on Oa. Hal is now wearing the uniform of the Green Lanterns. He's greeted by Tomar Ray, who is voiced by Jeffrey Rush.
The suit. Let's talk about the suit.
The suit is terrible.
The suit is so bad. This is our introduction to the Green Lantern suit. It looks so shitty and so fake and so CGI slapped together.
Yeah, it's bad.
It's so bad.
It's got to be the worst suit ever.
It's up there, man. If it's not, it's up there with the Batman nipples.
Yeah.
It really is up there. This is shocking in 2011 how bad this was.
Yeah, because this is like the same year we're getting like Thor.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, really incredible special effect. I mean, we've had, in 2011, yeah, we...
Oh wait, it was Iron Man.
Yeah. We've seen it. It can be done.
Iron Man's doing like the same shit Green Lantern does.
You had $200 million.
Yeah, where does it all go? To like fucking like Hector Hammond's mustache?
I think to Parallax and stuff.
Sure. But even that was kind of shitty.
Yeah. And the Oa scenes, which are still terrible. We're going to talk about them in a second.
None of it's good. And so, yeah. He is on Oa. He's greeted by Tomar Ray. And he's not believing in himself. He's taken to a big Green Lantern meeting led by Sinestro.
Yes.
Who Sinestro had informed the Owens and now he's addressing the Corps of Parallax. He says Parallax is coming.
Yes.
Because he heard
Abin Sur warned him in one of his dying acts that Parallax is here.
It's Parallax.
It's Parallax.
Yeah. And so after this meeting, Sinestro is just basically rallying the troops. Tomar Ray takes Hal Jordan to the training facility where they meet Kilowog, who starts like basically beating the shit out of Hal, training him, telling him all these things like, all this stuff comes from the constructs of the ring. Like, if you can see it in your mind, you can do it for your ring. Don't fly too close to, like, the sun.
Yeah. Which seems like a metaphor, but it's really not.
No.
He means it.
That's really funny. Is that like a metaphor? No, like, you'll catch on fire.
No, do not fly too close to the sun. It will fuck you up.
You will burn. That'd been really funny.
Yeah, I have this movie is very easy to punch up.
Yeah.
But I have a problem with this training scene because it seems very much like we're looking out over gorgeous Oa, right? Yeah. It looks in the distance like it's gorgeous. It's beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
And we're stuck on this tiny little platform.
Yeah.
It seems like a video game.
I was about to say, it's like Street Fighter.
It's very Street Fighter, where they're just like moving slightly forward and back, always facing the same direction as the camera, so somebody's fighting left-handed.
Yeah.
It is total shit.
Yeah.
It's poorly designed.
Yeah. It's true.
Michael Clark Duncan in this movie.
Yeah, he's Kilowog.
He's Kilowog. One of his last things.
Yeah. Yeah, it really is. That's unfortunate. unfortunate.
It's very unfortunate, but I mean, he didn't always pick the best movies.
No, he didn't.
He was a very active guy.
Later on, we'll do another Michael Clark Duncan superhero movie.
Yes, we will. He did not pick the best things.
No, he did not. But he wasn't terribly miscast in either of them.
No, he does fine.
Yeah. But I'm saying also, like, you could see him doing a good job in these roles.
Oh, absolutely.
Given the right opportunity. So, Sinestro arrives during Hal's training and is just like, you're a big pussy. To Hal.
I have a big problem with how mean they are to Hal.
Yeah.
The ring already chose him. It's not like they're going to make him drop out and the ring is going to be like, oh, word, peace, Dukes.
Sure, yeah. That dude's sick.
I chose wrong. Like, no, he's already been chosen by the Corps. You guys need to bring him along a little bit.
Yeah, he's learning.
He's had the ring 3 minutes. And
he barely used it on Earth.
They didn't even know aliens existed a second ago.
Yeah.
Can you give him 3 minutes to adjust? Yeah. God damn.
Tomo Ray was the first alien he'd ever seen.
Yes.
I guess Abin Sur was, but still. Yeah, come on, guys. Give him a fucking chance. And so Hal is just like, fine, I quit.
Can I point out that the last thing he did before becoming a Green Lantern, one of the space police, was beat up a bunch of guys in a bar fight?
Fantastic.
Sure. That seems like a cop thing to do.
At least he didn't go after an unarmed motorist.
Yeah. Oh, we gotta have him.
He's perfect. Now, this is where you're talking about. Hector Hammond is a xenon biologist, which I don't know if that's a real thing or not.
It's literally like, what's the thing it's called for people who, like, chase Bigfoot?
Cryptozoologist?
Cryptozoologist. He may as well be a cryptozoologist.
Sure, but that's a real thing. I've heard of that.
No.
I've heard of that at least, I'm saying.
No, but these things exist. People who... These are like... He's essentially really shitty Mulder.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, portray that. I had no clue what his job was.
Well, they couldn't get to Coveney.
Man,
by the way, let's talk about this now.
By the way, they could have gotten Duchovny.
Sure.
He was doing what, weeds?
No, he was doing Californication.
Oh, that's
actually a pretty big show. Peter Saarsgard.
Yes.
45?
Yeah. Right now he is 45 years old.
So that ain't 40. Ryan Reynolds at the time around 30.
Mm-hmm.
Blake Lively, 22.
25.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe, honestly.
She's about 30 now.
She's about 30 now, so yeah, like 25. 5 and 15-year age difference.
She was 24.
She was 24 at the time. They're all supposed to be the same age.
Yeah, they are. And Peter Saarsgard is almost 20 years older than her.
And looks every single second of it.
It's not his fault.
It is not his fault. He is a normal person who aged. How dare he? But they portray these people as all having grown up together.
Yep.
You need to throw something in there. Man, Peter Saarsgard has, acromegaly or something. Yeah, he's one of those progeria kids that sucks.
Yeah, it's super unfortunate. Yeah, it's just, how'd you fuck that up? That's the thing, like, you don't have to fuck up.
I think you said during this movie, Hector looks like the villain from Air Bud.
He does. He looks like the villain from Air Bud, the clown. And it bummed me out because it reminded me that actor died.
Yeah, Matthew.
He did, and it was sad.
Keep going.
Hey, Air Bud's actually a tight film. We should review that movie.
If you can prove to me it's a superhero movie.
Air Bud's a superhero. He could do something other dogs can't.
That's not the measure of a superhero.
A superhero is a relative term. He was a hero to that town. I'll tell you that much. It is a solid movie. Some of the sequels are shitty, though.
I think we can move along anytime.
He was a golden receiver. Hector Hammond is tasked with, he is summoned by the DEO and Amanda Waller. Whoa. Big time DC Comics character, Amanda Waller.
Huge DC Comics character.
Yeah, played by Angela Bassett in this movie. And she's like, hey, we want you to perform an autopsy on this alien. And he's like, whoa. And he does that. But as he's doing that, he is infected with seemingly parallax. Like he touches Abin Sur's wound, and
which has parallax residue.
Yeah.
And then he does become infected.
Yeah.
I'm actually okay with that.
That's not that bad.
I'm fine with that. In a comic book movie,
you can make that
stuff
work.
Happens.
Yeah. So, yeah. And it gives him some telekinetic abilities. This is what we see. So, at a party thrown by Ferris at Ferris Aircraft. That's what's next, right?
I believe so.
This movie is one of those things. It's so bad that not a lot of people take the time to actually put in a decent review and like synopses of it.
Sure, which is what you pull from online.
Yeah.
This movie does suffer from something where they'll do something interesting, and then they immediately have Hal go back to his apartment for a scene.
Yes.
So they go, interesting thing, he needs some downtime apparently. This is a superhero who really needs some time to decompress, listen to some music, put on the Smiths, and really just come back down to earth.
Mm-hmm.
It's it fucks the pacing all up. You never have a chance to build any momentum because every scene, as soon as you start to get back into the movie, you immediately are getting bored again because you're watching Ryan Reynolds drink a beer sitting on his couch for an extended period of time.
Yeah, it's true. It's just nothing happens in those scenes either. Actually, the next scene that we got was Hector being summoned by his father.
I did like him going slowly crazy.
Yeah, sure. Slow build.
He's very off-putting.
Yes, when he gets like full ugged up, he is very ugly.
Yes.
He realizes that he can read minds. He like fucks a kid up in his class. He's a professor because he hears the kid call him a loser. And when he's summoned by his father, he learns that his father set him up with that DEO job and that he wasn't good enough on his own. That it was just all about his connections. And that pisses him off. And I think that's very interesting.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah.
Like, that was pretty cool. And so he, at a party thrown by Ferris Aircraft, he telekinetically sabotages the helicopter that his father is in, trying to kill him and possibly more people at this party. This party, it's got everybody's there. Hal's there. Carol's there. Taika Waititi's there. It's a whole gala.
Yeah, everybody we've met so far in the movie is there.
Yeah. And so Hal...
This movie has 8 characters.
Yeah, it really does. Hal dons his costume, his uniform, I guess you could say, since he's a cop, and saves the day. Saves Carol, who is in immediate peril.
Sure.
That rhymed.
This is the Earth's, as we're led to believe, this is the Earth's first introduction to anything...
Super.
Parahuman.
Sure.
Yeah, anything super. They've never had a Green Lantern. They've never had a superhero. They've never had problems like this before.
Not that we've been told.
Not that we've been told. And people are understandably pretty freaked out.
Yeah, you see somebody capture on their phone. Which is like, that's what would happen.
What do you think about his ability to use the constructs? Do you think he uses a good construct work in this movie? Or is it a little
we don't
too...
see much of his constructs.
It's kind of Bugs Bunny-ish.
It is Bugs Bunny-ish.
It's pretty Bugs Bunny-ish at times. Yeah. Like big mallets and slides and yeah.
Yeah, it's cartoonish. I guess you could argue though that Green Lantern is fairly cartoonish.
Yes, but the Hector Hammond they're giving us is not cartoonish.
No.
And
so juxtaposed with Hector.
They need to decide, is this a cartoon or is this not? Where is this movie going? What story do they want to tell?
Yeah. And so, yeah, Hal goes to visit Carol after saving her the following day, and she immediately recognizes him as Green Lantern. She's like, I've seen you naked. Like, how do you think I would just not recognize you?
Because I can't see your cheekbones?
Yeah.
I like this.
That's a good line.
Yeah.
I think that's in the trailer. It really might have been. So, shortly afterward, Hal...
Abort your dordle. I wouldn't notice you here. Come on. Just something like PG-13, but gross.
Oh, God.
I whipped your cream, Hal. Come on.
This next...
just really gross Blake Lively.
Yeah. It's at this point that we really start to see Hector getting all fucked up.
Yeah, his skull is expanding. Mm-hmm. He almost seems like the Thinker from the Hulk.
Yeah, which we almost saw Tim Blake Nelson play.
Poor Tim Blake Nelson.
Yeah, he can't get anything right. Just in movies. I guess his life's okay.
Yeah, he was fine in Kimmy Schmidt.
Sure. Yeah, he was in that. This is where the movie started to get a little weird. And I say that as it got weirder. We see Hector has gone back to the DEO.
Sure. I would also point out by then, Hal has also told his friend Taika Waititi, and he needs to stop telling people.
Yeah.
And people need to be more freaked out in a cosmic sense. People are very willing to listen to this like it's a movie, I'm going to tell you, Matt, if you came to me with this information that you were now a Green Lantern,
Yeah.
we're going to the hospital. Like, we're going to get you checked out here real quick.
Nah, man, I would just, like, put a thing on the door and be like, nah, bitch. I'd finally beat you up, because I'd finally be able to.
I would be very freaked out for you. Yeah, I would be worried.
I'd be like, I'm alright, dog. See, I'd be happy for you, Joe. This is one movie that I didn't understand this, and I don't think you did either.
People also need to be more freaked out about Hector Hammond.
Oh,
because people are just like, hey, we're going to figure it out. It's like, he's, at best case scenario, he's dying.
He looks like a big frog man right now. Hector, along with Amanda Waller and his father, they're all in the DEO bunker, and Hector attacks them both, killing his father.
Yes, in a brutal scene.
And this is in front, Hal had arrived at this point to fight Hector.
Yes, before this, let's break everything down, because we've skipped over a little bit. Hal, for a couple of scenes, is having a lot of existential...
Well, I skipped over that.
Crisis. Well, he's questioning whether or not he's going to be the Green Lantern.
Well, I wonder if he's going to be the Green Lantern.
Yeah, I know. This movie is not Green Lantern with a question mark in the title. We know he's going to end up being the Green Lantern. But there's a lot of talk about whether or not he can control his fear enough to do this.
Yeah.
And through the help of Carol and Taika Waititi, whose name I never learned.
Tom.
Whatever. Yeah, Tommy Waititi. He is able to come to grips with the old thing of, well, courage is standing up to your fear, not the absence of fear.
Yeah.
Which is a pretty basic idea, but an understandable one for a movie like this.
Sure.
Because this is
it worked.
This is a trope in Green Lantern. I have no problem with them using this fear angle, but I just think they hit the nail on the head a little too much, and they spend a little bit too much time of him really profoundly unsure of himself.
You know what this really is? It's I'm actually writing a paper on it right now. It's relational dialectics theory, which Hal Jordan is basically... I'll explain it, don't worry. He's employing the technique of novelty versus predictability. You know what I mean? He is doing something that is absurd, almost. And, he's trying to manage that with doing something normal. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And there's a conflict in that. And he's trying to find the balance.
And what's the phrase again?
Relational dialectics.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Little theory-based review for you.
There you go. But Hal has now embraced that he needs to at least give his best attempt to being the Green Lantern. And so when Hector starts wilding out there, Hal shows up. His ring apparently told him that something was going on. I'm not sure if I love that. Because that's a lot to live up to in further movies.
Oh, hell yeah.
Because now every time nothing can be happening in secret to Hal. He's got to know about a problem as soon as it's happening.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a big problem.
He's going to show up in, like, everybody's movie. Hey, I heard there's a big gorilla over here.
Yeah, it's
to read people's minds.
It's a lot to live up to.
Here, there's this clown running around.
If you're Hector Hammond, I realized in this scene, if I'm Hector Hammond, I'm pretty pissed.
Hector's life sucks.
Hector's life is fucking shit.
His dad is a fucking asshole.
His dad's a sociopath. Yeah. And a senator.
Yeah. Hector has worked his whole life and dedicated it to science.
But apparently he's still not good enough, at least for his father.
In his father's eyes.
Because I read a little bit into that scene where his father was believing that he helped him get hired, that maybe that was just his dad's idea of him. And that he kind of meddled before he necessarily had to. Was I wrong to believe that?
I mean...
And maybe it was just his dad's lack of belief in him?
I think it was his dad's lack of belief in him.
More than just that... Because he's not a shitty scientist. He shows capability of being a scientist.
Doing the autopsy on Abin Sur.
Yeah, he's brought in for a reason. And I mean, he looks like Peter Saarsgard, and they're constantly sticking him next to Ryan fucking Reynolds.
Yeah, and they knew each other when they were kids.
They knew each other when they were kids.
And he loved Carol.
He loves this beautiful Blake Lively person. I mean, come on.
And he just never had a chance.
And then he gets infected in the greatest moment of his life. He's giving an alien autopsy thing he's always dreamed about. He gets infected with this crazy virus.
Yeah.
That's going to kill him.
Yeah.
I mean, god damn it. Does your life just... Did you draw the shitty straight in life?
Yeah, straw.
No, I meant for a poker reference.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I don't play poker.
But yeah, he kills his father in this.
Yeah, brutally.
Brutally, throws him into a room and then turns 2 flamethrowers that are there for some reason.
It's the DEO, man.
Yeah, apparently. That's in case Martian Manhunter shows up. And blasts the room into that small room into a big explosion, juxtaposing that with the earlier explosion of Hal's father.
Yeah, sure.
That's a sentence I don't like saying. Juxtaposing the 2 father explosions.
Yeah, it's rough.
It's rough.
So, yeah, both Jordan and Hammond realize at this point that Parallax is on his way to Earth. Even though that Sinestro told the Owens that he was coming to Oa to get revenge on them, because we learned that Parallax is actually a disgraced member of the Guardians of the Universe.
Yes, he is an immortal.
Yeah. And he thought that instead of using willpower, they should use fear.
Because fear is stronger than will.
Yeah. So he believed, but then he got encompassed with it, and it took him over. And so he's become the evil being known as Parallax.
Yeah.
It's like a big cloud monster.
It's a big, crazy cloud monster with a big skull face on the front of it.
Mm-hmm.
I know people make fun of the design of Parallax a lot. How did you feel about the design of Parallax?
It looks dumb.
It looks a little dumb, but I don't hate it as much as most people.
I don't hate it, certainly. There's other things in this movie you can hate.
No, I think there's a lot of things you can... It's the easiest thing to roast in this movie.
No
just
pun
because
intended with the parents.
Yeah, just because it's the craziest visual.
Sure.
But there's a lot of things done a lot less competently than this design of Parallax.
Sure, and I mean they did write Parallax in a way to where it makes sense. It ties in with the Guardians of the Universe. You understand his plan pretty much. Parallax certainly would not be my first choice for a Green Lantern villain. I certainly understand why they did it. But it seems like they took a lot of the origin from Atrocitus.
Yes, they take a bunch of the stuff
like
from
even
Atrocitus.
he's imprisoned on Riot.
Yeah.
That's Atrocitus.
Yes, accurate. Atrocitus is of course, the leader of the Red Lanterns.
My favorite other Lantern Corps.
The Rage
My
Lanterns.
second favorite Lantern Corps.
You big nerd.
That's a Pineapple Express reference.
But
yeah, Atrocitus, he's the Rage villain.
Yeah, he's a big crazy demon.
Oh, he's fucking awesome. Like, that's who I want to see. If DC is going to go all in on a Green Lantern Corps movie, give me Atrocitus.
Parallax has a specific grudge against Hal Jordan because Hal Jordan is the successor of Abin Sur.
Abin Sur, who imprisoned Parallax.
Who imprisoned Parallax originally. I don't think that makes much sense.
Nope.
That he has a grudge against this particular ring, against this sector. When really his grudge for eons, because, I mean, if he's a member of the
Guardians.
A member of the Guardians, he's immortal, he's been around, he's one of the most ancient races around, he should have a grudge against them. That's where he has emotion. He doesn't know Hal Jordan. Hal Jordan is just any guy to him. Killing Abin Sur absolutely makes sense.
Yes, because he imprisoned him.
But then you should go up the chain of command.
Mm-hmm.
Once you're done with that challenge, you go up to a bigger challenge. The planet of Oa, the rest of the Lanterns perhaps, and the Guardians.
And then the world.
And then
or the universe.
The universe, yeah.
So you're 100% right. His plan made sense. The way he enacted it didn't. And that's writing.
Yeah.
That was Guggenheim and them got lazy.
It's just not. It just veers because they want to have this fight on Earth.
Exactly, and that's a big problem I have with this movie is that it's on Earth. It's Green Lantern. Go to space.
Go to space. Go to Saturn. Go to Mars.
Yeah.
Fight through the Milky Way.
Yeah. Like do anything other than fucking fighting next to a bodega.
Yeah.
So
you're gonna scare all the kiddies.
Jordan, while Sinestro is talking with the Guardians. The Guardians, by the way, been super nice to Sinestro. They're like, yeah, man, launch an attack on Parallax. Go fuck him up, dude. And then Sinestro fails, and a lot of Green Lanterns die.
Very brutal.
And so Sinestro comes back and is like, that didn't work. And so that's when they tell him who Parallax is, and that's when Hal Jordan shows up and says, because Sinestro wanted to use a yellow lantern ring against Parallax.
Yes. He thinks this ring will be more powerful and more effective.
Yes. And they say no, but they do, after Hal gives a quote-unquote rousing speech,
It's a total shit speech. It is not good.
Terribly written.
It's terribly written. He's giving a pump-up speech to a bunch of immortals. Whatever.
He's like, we have a saying on my planet.
Oh,
I'm only human.
Yeah. It doesn't make any sense.
You're the only human I know.
You're the only human any of us have ever met. Yes, everything is just what it is. We get that.
Yeah, it's just not good.
It's literally like a speech of like, everybody fucks up sometimes.
So let me not fuck up.
Yeah, so let me go not fuck up.
And so they're like, alright, go not fuck up on Earth. And so he returns to Earth, but he sees that Carol has been captured by Hector, and he is infected with Parallax's presence, or his essence, if you will. Parallax arrives, consuming Hector's life after Hal and Hector have a back and forth of like, oh, you can't be Green Lantern because the ring chose me. It's like, whatever. And so Hector is killed by Parallax.
Accurate.
And it's sad because Hector had a really shitty life.
I feel bad for him.
Yeah, I do too, and I don't want to feel bad for the villain. You know what I mean?
No, I think it's fine to empathize with a villain.
Yeah, but I mean, not when they're like...
Not more than I empathize with the hero.
I kind of did here.
Yeah, but I mean, I empathize with a guy like Kingpin from Daredevil. I empathized with Cottonmouth in Luke Cage.
Sure.
I even empathized with Zod in Man of Steel.
They're also more sociopaths, though. Hector was not an evil guy until like 4 days ago.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. He's not really the villain.
Yeah.
Hector. It is all just Parallax.
He just got infected with it. It's just... I can't think of a one-for-one that would be like Hector here in any other superhero movie. Where it's just like, that fucking sucks. Like, you're almost the token... Sacrifice, yeah. It's just super sad. And I like Peter Saarsgard as an actor. But I was happy to see him go just because he's really ugly. He's too ugly to be on screen, and it's really upsetting. So, bye, Hector. So, Parallax is fucking shit up on Earth, so Hal decides to lure him away and toward the sun to try to use the sun's gravity to pull and burn him up, basically. Burn up Parallax. And that is what he does. But as Hal, he flew too close to the sun. It really does sound like a
metaphor.
A metaphor, but it's not. But he is saved by Sinestro and Kilowog and Tomar Ray. And so the entire Green Lantern Corps throws like a little parade for Hal, congratulating him on his bravery. Sinestro tells him he now bears the responsibility of being a Green Lantern, which is like, yeah, duh. And that's basically what we're done on Oa. We go back to Earth, and Hal and Carol are like, all right, things are going good, you know? And so he just kind of flies off, and that's where the movie ends.
Yes, and the final line of the movie, I'm going to go look for trouble.
Yeah.
From a cop.
From a cop. A cop said that.
A cop said that.
A super cop.
A super cop. I'm going to go look for trouble. The final fight scene is boring.
Boring.
Because we don't really know the capabilities of Parallax too well. We know he pulls people's skeletons, fear skeletons kind of thing.
Yeah.
Out. It looks a little terrifying, but it's kind of dumb at the same time. Overall, just this movie is so uneven that I just end up not caring.
Yeah. And there is a post-cred for this movie.
Accurate.
Sinestro is forging a yellow ring, places it on his finger, and his suit and eyes turn yellow, signifying that he is going to fulfill the character's destiny from the comics and become the leader of the Yellow Lantern Corps.
Alright. Doesn't make a lot of sense.
No, was not earned.
His side won, so I don't see why he would go and be a Yellow Lantern.
His side was clearly not strong enough.
Yeah. The guy you were shitting on for being super weak just beat the essence of fear.
Yeah.
You have no argument here, sir.
Yeah, it really is. Like, why did you do that? I said at the start, when we were watching it after we saw it, I said, the start of Green Lantern 2, everybody's going to be really confused.
Yeah.
Like, alright, and they just beat up Sinestro.
Apparently. So let's talk about the characters. Ryan Reynolds as Hal Jordan, Green Lantern.
Look, on paper, it's not a bad choice.
No, it's a great choice. He's a little jokier than Hal Jordan tends to be.
Jokestier?
Yeah. He's a little quippier than Hal Jordan tends to be. He's obviously a little bit more well-suited for a character like, I don't know, Deadpool.
Yeah, someone like a Deadpool type.
But there's no problem with him doing this if he can do it well. The problem is, he doesn't do it well.
Right.
The quips don't land.
It's not funny.
It's not funny, so he's always just coming across like a dick.
You know what they should have done? Berlanti and all them wrote this. You know what they should have done? Have Taika Waititi do a once-over.
Yeah, sure. Have anybody do a once-over.
But I mean, he's already there.
Yeah. He's already involved. He obviously wants this to be a good movie.
Yeah.
He's a very funny guy.
He did that movie, was it Out of the Shadows?
Yeah, something like that.
That's a really funny movie with Jermaine Clement, who's great. Who also looks like our dad.
His journey through the movie here is to become, to master his fear, and through the mastery of this fear, to become heroic.
Yep.
And there's nothing wrong with that. That is a fine idea.
Sure. Took too long.
I think it takes too long, and I think it is incorrectly paced to the point where it is stopping and starting in every single scene.
It's just like, come on, get on with it.
Yeah. And there's just a little bit too much angst for a character that, at the end, pretty much flips on a dime and goes from being incredibly fearful, and then 2 scenes later is rousing all of the Green Lantern immortals.
And the Guardians of the Universe.
The Guardians of the Universe, an immortal group, to be in complete control of their fear because he is.
Yeah. It's really stupid. It's so poorly written.
It's just poorly written, man. I'm really shocked that this is Berlanti and Guggenheim doing this shitty work. I mean, it's not too far off from what Arrow does.
Honestly. Look at
early Arrow.
Look at the flashbacks. That takes you out of it.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
That's something that that's the worst part of Arrow. Bar none.
Apparently next season they're getting rid of them.
I don't care. Yeah. I have 5 seasons worth of them. I'm burned out.
Yeah.
Tomorrow we're going to be doing the Arrow episodes, and guess what? Or we're going to be doing the TV recap, and there are still flashbacks.
Yeah.
And I'm still just like...
Okay. Blake Lively plays Carol Ferris in this movie.
I actually didn't hate her performance as much as a lot of people shit on her performance. I don't think she was written well, because she was written... They tried to write her as a strong female character. She was his wingman. She's a fighter pilot. But they also really fell back into the well of, like, damsel in distress. She is...
Stuff's about to fall on her. He needs to save her.
Yeah, she's floating. She's about to get that thing injected in her. She did shoot missiles at Parallax at one point.
Accurate. That did happen.
That was pretty stupid.
But she's kidnapped by Hector Hammond. She's, there's a weird sexual contest between, Hector and Hal.
Yeah.
Over her.
Yeah. And it's just, a lot of people don't know how to write female characters.
It's very hard.
And,
apparently.
Yeah, I was about to say, is it that hard? Because we've seen a lot of directors succeed at it. Your boy, Joss Whedon, does a good job of that.
Baby boy.
Ew.
I'm not afraid of this.
A lot of the Marvel,
I'm not afraid of my love.
A lot of the Marvel people have written female characters well at times. There's certainly been times when they're not. But I just keep coming back to Berlanti and Guggenheim and the other 2 guys, Michael Green, and there was another guy. It was bad.
It was real bad. There's a real bad...
So I'm not going to blame the actors that much.
I still think Blake Lively gives a very wooden performance. I've seen her where she's been alright in a couple of things, but I just think overall she is a gorgeous face, beautiful woman who is not the strongest actress. She's just not.
I think you'll agree with me in that the best Blake Lively performance came from The Town.
She was real good. She was pretty good in that,
but
right?
But the problem with her in that movie was that she was supposed to play like this Boston crackhead, and she's still gorgeous.
Yeah, she still looks too hot.
She's like Ben Affleck's baby mama in that movie, but she's still like, good lord.
Yeah.
Hector Hammond, Peter Saarsgard.
I really felt for him.
I liked it.
I thought he did a pretty good job. It was very visually off-putting.
Oh, hell yeah. It was so off-putting.
But I ended up having a lot of sympathy for this character.
I empathize with him, man. I mean, that's what he's supposed to look like. He's supposed to look all, like, fucked up in the head. But it's still, like, it's super off-putting.
Yeah.
And, I just pulled up a picture of him from the comics, and He's way uglier in the movie.
Yes, much uglier.
Like, his eyes are all fucked up, and, like, he's got veins protruding out of his head. And it's just like, oh, good lord. But the story, I thought, was strong. His origin was better than Hal's.
Yeah, I think Peter Saarsgard does the best work in the movie.
Oh, yes. 100% agree. Good job, Peter.
Yeah.
There's always one person in these shitty movies that we always do pull out. Like how in Spider-Man 3 it was Thomas Hayden Church.
Yeah, he did great.
Yeah,
the Sandman stuff in Spider-Man 3 is actually real good.
Yeah. The Hector Hammond stuff isn't as good as that, but it's still the best stuff in this movie.
Yeah, accurate.
Tim Robbins plays the senator.
There's not a ton
he doesn't
latch
do
onto. It's a one-note performance. He's in 3 or 4 scenes.
There's not many characters in this movie. Taika Waititi was fine.
The Sinestro.
Mark Strong.
Mark Strong plays Sinestro. He's really not in this very much, but he is obviously set up to be the villain in the second movie.
Mm-hmm.
He's the last character we'll talk about, I suppose. We can also talk about Parallax if you want to.
Yeah. I feel like this isn't a spoiler for the movie Doctor Strange, but I said to you at the end of this movie...
Hold that. You
want to hold it? All right, fine.
I know what you're about to say. Hold that. But just generally, I think Sinestro was very, very mean in this movie.
Yeah.
And he was not a good leader. And I think that's what Sinestro needs to come across as. He needs to come across as someone that Hal can trust.
Yeah.
And Hal is very understandably skeptical of him at all times.
And now has an even better right to be after the end of this movie.
Yeah. So I don't think it was an effective portrayal of Sinestro because you had a lot of reason to be suspicious of Sinestro at all times. And he then is betraying any kind of goodwill or surprise he would be able to bring into the second one if he was interacting with any of these characters.
When the betrayal just didn't work.
Yeah.
It was confusing. Like, if our mother watched that who knows nothing, who would not have known that Sinestro would become a bad guy, she would say, well, why did he do that?
Yeah.
And I can't just say because of the comics.
Yeah. It really is, this is what happens in the comics. So this is what we're going to do.
But this movie did not do that effectively at all. What's his face played Kilowog? I'm blanking on his name. Michael Clark Duncan.
Michael Clark Duncan. Michael Clark Duke.
Yeah, Michael Clark Duncan. He was fine. He was barely in it. Jeffrey Rush was Tomar Ray, barely in it.
Who plays the Cloud?
The Cloud, the Google Cloud. I don't think there was like a big time actor attached to that. Actually, I'll look it up.
See what you do. I'll filibuster. Parallax in general was the main villain. I think we touched on it pretty well during the podcast, but just the concept of fear in the Green Lantern universe is that fear overcomes willpower, and even in some versions, the color yellow is more powerful than the color green, which is always confusing to me. I really don't like when they do this.
Oh, it's Clancy Brown. You already said
it was Clancy Brown. And they've made it so, like, in some versions, Hal's ring doesn't work on things that are yellow.
That's dumb.
Which is fucking stupid.
Yeah.
Grant Morrison does something like this. Grant Morrison, the most hit-or-miss comic book writer of all time, in my opinion.
It's hard to argue.
Yeah, I mean, when he's on, he is fucking on. But when he is off, holy shit, not a bit of it makes sense.
Green Lantern, I think, is also... I think it is challenging. It is a challenging movie to get right. Because there's a lot of just, like, comic book shit. You know what I mean? Oh, yeah, there's all these sectors, and there's a guy for every sector, which is, like... Each sector is, like, 10,000 galaxies or something like that, is what they said in the movie. And if you're, like, a natural, just movie-going person, you can tune out real easily.
Yes.
And this movie does not keep you.
It does nothing to keep you excited and interested, and there's no momentum.
Yeah. And honestly, I think a part of that is the villain's not good enough. It's not imposing enough. I mean, we saw this villain eating souls, and it wasn't imposing enough. It wasn't good enough. I think, honestly, for something as big of a spectacle as Green Lantern is, I think you need more of a grounded space villain. And that's where I think Atrocitus would have been a better choice.
I agree with you. But Atrocitus is a big, big villain.
But he's also a man.
Yeah.
He's like a humanoid. Yeah.
You can make Parallax humanoid, though.
You can, but he is big, and that's essentially what he is in the comics as well.
Yeah.
He's almost like Galactus.
Yeah, that's true. Let's rate and rank this movie, although we can't really rank it.
Yeah, we're just kind of putting
We're going to rate it. Out of 5, where are we putting it?
2.5.
2.5? I think I'm going to put this at 1.5, 2.
Really?
I think I might give it a 2 out of 5.
Yeah. I don't blame you.
I'm going to say, honestly, this is 1.5 to me, because just there's nothing I really like in this movie. Even the Peter Saarsgard stuff, I don't really like.
It's offset because it's just how unappealing he is.
Yeah. And how mean people are to him.
Yeah,
the only character in this movie I find truly sympathetic.
Yeah. I'll go with a 2.
Yeah, you're going to go with 2, I'm going to go with 1.5.
Yeah, I'll give it a 20%.
There you go. Well, no, 40%.
Is that a 5?
Yeah.
Oh, shit, yeah. I did what Melissa did last week. Yeah, then it's a 1.
A 1? Okay, there you go. Matt, tell people how to get a hold of the show.
You can find us at Facebook at facebook.com/UpUpAndAwayShow. You can find us on Twitter at UpUpAndAwayShow. We are on Instagram, UpUpAndAwayPodcast. Or if you want to email the show and tell us what you thought about Green Lantern, or anything else for that matter, you can email the show at upupandawaypodcast@gmail.com.
Make sure you subscribe to the show, all that good stuff. We are going to come to you guys tomorrow with a TV Week in Review episode. And then Tuesday, another Tuesday Newsday episode.
Lots of stuff happened in TV this week, y'all.
It's going to be exciting.
Arrow had a twist.
We have the 100th episode of Arrow coming up. A lot of good stuff.
A lot of Arrow, apparently.
So, if we don't have anything else, Matt, I assume we don't.
Nope.
For all of us here at Up, Up, and Away, we'll see all you guys soon here on the show. Up, up, and away, 'cause there's no judgment.